in the circle for the Lancers, and she starts off Riley Sipe with the strike. And Mark, last game, a win by Santiago to force this game 3, 4-3. Game 1 went to the Lancers 4-1 yesterday. Off-speed pitch misses outside, 1-1.
Yeah, well, it really was an emotional win for the Hawks because their back was against the wall. They had the last 2 innings. They got that big home run, which you requested. And then it was error-prone softball that determined the outcome of this game for both these teams.
That one's upstairs, 2-1. Want to thank everybody joining us all the way from Orange to Pasadena to Arizona. Glad you're tuning in. Now a hot one, 2 balls, 1 strike. Top of the first inning, game 3. It moves on to this, what's next week, Super Regionals?
Yes.
Super Regionals. Santiago Candy, the 2016 state champions. Pasadena, 4 straight 20-win seasons. Lucerarian, 3-1 pitch hits the outside corner, 3 balls, 2 strikes. (25 and 15). Now 26 and 16 are the Lancers after the first 2 games. And Riley Sipe draws a walk. She's on base. And a more confident at-bat for the Hawks. And you can tell in that first at-bat, Whitney. Taylor Whitney now steps in, the left-handed batter.
A little surprised Lucasarian is going in this game, Corey. She got an ERA of 4.75. She's only pitched 39 innings when you come into this game. So really, you've got that inexperienced pitcher in the circle for this game.
And what you want to get at least 3 to 4 innings out of Lucerarian and bring in either Winterkorn or Lopez, probably Winterkorn for short duty, but you want to keep it close. In the circle, the right-handed pitcher delivers outside, swung on miss. Sipe goes to second, and she is safe as she overslides second base, getting up gingerly and slowly, holding her left hand. Could be her thumb, maybe her wrist. But she shakes it off and calls off the third base coach. Says, I got this.
And once again, Medrano makes an excellent throw for Pasadena. She has done it all day long. And what happens is the infielders aren't catching it cleanly and making that sweep tag.
Yeah, 5 stolen bases in the last game, Mark. All of them, well, 3 dropped. Beautiful bunt. Up with it is Lopez, and she cannot get the speeding Whitney at first base side. Holding her thumb is at third. First and third, no outs. Bring up Amber Elliott.
So you drop that bunt down by topping the ball into what has just been a dampened infield. The ball dies in the sand, and you've got runners at the corner.
Elliott, she turns around. There goes Whitney. The ball thrown down. Here comes Sipe at home, and she is safe as she slides past a perfectly thrown ball back to home plate by Medrano, Kaylee Medrano. And Genevieve Medrano couldn't apply the tag. And Mark, that's one of those things where our listener in Arizona would know you cannot block home plate any longer.
Yeah, in the old days, as a catcher, you could walk out there, drop a leg, and make somebody crash into you. Now you have to give them an opportunity to touch the bag and sweep it as a catcher.
Yeah, if this had been 1982, that would have been an out. This one's behind Elliott. 2 balls, 1 strike.
And Corey, Mark, that's a play that we saw in the first game where it would have been bluffed over towards second to keep the runner back at third, or maybe a toss over to the second base person instead of going all the way to the bag for the base runner.
And this one's flared to Howard over to first to Flores for the first out. But what it does is it advances the runner Whitney to third base. That's as good as a bunt sacrifice.
Ryan Osborn, here's my thing. If you're a catcher, you've got to dedicate yourself to getting the runner at second base and not worrying about the person at third. Or you don't go to second base and you do what you say you do. You snap through to third. It's that dedicated person behind the plate that makes that play.
Allie Didion, left-handed batter, had some good cuts in the first inning, or first game. One out, one already across, one hit. Whitney at third. Lays one down. And here is Lopez. She's obstruction. And did they call obstruction on a...
He called a dead ball, so there's no play.
So what he calls, Mark, go ahead and explain it.
So Corey Neyland just brought it up, where you can no longer block home plate. You have to allow the runner to get to the plate. When a catcher takes the play away from somebody coming home, or second base, or third base, it's called obstruction. As soon as obstruction is called, the play is dead, the run will score, or you will be awarded that other base you're going to.
Here's Verratti, who takes a first pitch strike. So in the field, Lucerian is in the circle. Genevieve Madrano behind the plate. Amanda Flores at first. Alex Howard at second. Oh, one pitch. Bounces in there for ball one. 1-1. One ball, one strike. Top of the first inning. Winner of this matchup moves to the Super Regionals next week. Angelica Lopez at third. Kaylee Madrano at shortstop. Brianna Hernandez in left field, Angel Urbina in center, Leilani Montanez in right. And there goes Diddy, and there's a strong throw. And no coverage again. Mark Gideon timed that well for the third stolen base this inning.
And Corey, this is what you were talking about in game one that you would have liked to see from Santiago. When they get on base, cause havoc, even when you're not at the plate.
Verratti takes a nice off-speed pitch for a strike. She went over in the first game. Right-hander. She laces one in the left field right at the left fielder Brianna Hernandez for the second out. Bringing up McKenna Boyle. Boyle in game two. Single, out, and hit by a pitch. 1 for 2 on the first game. Series tied 1. Off-speed pitch, bounces in. 1 ball, no strikes.
Nothing like a victory giving you, once again, that proper attitude when you walk to the plate, huh?
Isn't it funny when things start to go right for you? That's ball 2, 2-0.
I mean, it's like watching Corey Neyland on the court, Ryan Osborn, trying to make a basket for a free lunch. How many times did we watch him miss? He makes that once. We know not to take that bet.
Haven't had a free lunch in a while. Nobody's taking that. That's in there for a strike. No, too low. 3 balls, no strikes. 2 outs, first inning. 2-0. Hawks. After Boyle, she gets on. Villa's on deck. There's a strike at the knees. 3 balls, 1 strike. Rinky batting 8th. DeYoung is batting 9th. There's one grounded. Lopez up with it over the first to Flores, and that is a third out, 5-3. But not before 2 runs on 2 hits. No errors and 1 left on base. And half the inning, 2-0 Hawks over the Lancers.
You know, I forgot to mention last game that all our games here on sportsnetusa.net are brought to you by Miller Toyota of Anaheim. That's right. Looking for that new or used Toyota? Graduation times are right around the corner. Or maybe you just like somebody here at sportsnetusa.net and you need that car to get you to that next game. Well, no better place to go than Miller Toyota of Anaheim. That's right. Miller Toyota of Anaheim is a proud sponsor of high school sports, community college sports, but most of all, education. That's Miller Toyota of Anaheim, located at Euclid and the 91.
And in the field, for the Hawks, getting the start in the circle for the rubber match is Nicole Iguines out of El Medina High School. Behind the plate stays McKenna Boyle. At first base, Alex DeYoung. At second base, Alyssa Villa. Third base is Marissa Verratti. At shortstop, Amber Ranke. Left fielders, their all-conference performer, arguably the MVP, but that went to Sydney McCollum over at Cypress. Riley Sipe. In center field, Amber Elliott. And right field is Taylor Whitney. All three of them all-conference performers. And Brianna Hernandez will start off the ball game for Pasadena.
Do I hear a little disagreement in Player of the Year over there next to me?
Iniguez delivers, all one outside. Honestly, I couldn't decide, so I had him co.
Oh, okay. All right.
Lopez on deck, Velasquez in the third spot. Right-hander in the circle. Delivers there, letter high strike outside corner. So Iniguez on the season. 11 wins, 5 losses in 116 innings pitched. 3.61 ERA. That's outside, good frame by Boyle. 55 strikeouts, 34 walks.
You'd like to have at least that 2-to-1 strikeout ratio to walks.
Outside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. In the cleanup spot will be Amanda Flores. Batting fifth is Kaylee Madrano. Bottom first, delivers outside, dribbler. Up with it is Ranke, over to first, not in time. And that's going to be E6 on Rinky. That's her second of the day. Allows the first base runner.
And Corey Neyland's giving an air to a shortstop who double clutches going over to first base.
Well, I didn't even see the double clutch. I saw the bobble trying to pick it up, trying to rush it. The way Hernandez moves down the line, that's what caused that error. Lopez takes that one on the outside part of the plate for a strike. In the first game, she was 1 for 3. Singled in her last at bat, trying to keep it going. Lays one down, left field line over to first, covering is Villa. She gets it, but the lead runner advances on a sacrifice by Lopez. One out, 5-4 if you're scoring at home.
Hey, Corey, when you talk about Amber Rinke over at shortstop, she leads the team in error. She has a fielding percentage of .932 playing shortstop for the Hawks.
Natalie Velasquez up. Verratti holds the runner at second, fires over to DeYoung at first. That is textbook 5-3 with the runner on second base.
That's right, Dale. I'm the old bitter guy that tells you all about the mistakes people make playing the infield.
So still at second base is Hernandez as she was moved over by Lopez. And then a ground out by Velasquez. And Verratti did a nice job of just staying with the ball. It came up with it, looked back Hernandez, and still had enough arm to throw out Velasquez hitting the first base. Too high, 1-0. So we'll get to winners and losers around the state. In other action today, that's in there for a strike. 2 outs, bottom 1. As there's 2 hits in the first inning for Santiago Canyon with that 2 runs. This one's flared foul right side. So, Mark, you said College of the Canyons beat Cerritos.
Yeah, Cypress won their game. I'm just going to check in a second here to see what happens there. El Camino wins their game.
1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and that one's high. Flores on the season, not bad with the bat, 316, 2 triples, 8 doubles. Shows the bunt, fouls it back, 2-2. Other action, no scores of on, is Palomar versus Imperial Valley. This here is the rubber match. First game went to Pasadena 4-1. Second game today, 4-3 Hogs. And there's a strike inside corner, caught looking for the 3rd out. So no runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 left on base at the end of 1. Hawks 2, Lancers nothing. This is the CCCAA Regional Softball Playoffs on SportsNetUSA.net.
Well, you talked about Palomar, Corey. Palomar beats Imperial Valley 11-0 in their game today. No score in the Sacramento game so far that's going up. No answer on the Butte game we've got. Looking at that as it's going. Tight game on the Ridley. Ridley comes away with a 5-4 victory in their game.
So Ridley beat San Joaquin Delta, so that's 1-1.
Yeah. Like we said, Canyon wins their game 10-5 today.
No, I'm sorry, you said Ridley beat?
Ridley won their game 5-4.
So Ridley beats Consumnes River.
Yeah.
So they're going to advance to the next round.
Okay. Canyon wins their game 10-5. Of course, like we've said, Cypress beats Southwestern 6-4. They move on.
And their next opponent, well, if everything stays the same, their next opponent is going to be the winner of this game.
Okay.
Palomar, no, excuse me. Cypress's next opponent will be Bakersfield or Riverside. Santiago or Canyon or Pasadena will move on to play El Camino College.
Okay, and El Camino won today. Sierra run rule over West Valley in their game. Santa Ana lost their game 10-3 against El Camino.
So Sierra moves on up north. So we'll straighten that out in a couple moments. So top of the second inning, we've got Villa, Ranke, and DeYoung. So they say Alyssa Enriquez instead of Alyssa Villa. So Enriquez at the plate. I don't know why we have Villa on our rosters. So Alyssa Enriquez, solid second baseman for the Hawks. Wants to pursue a career as a pediatric nurse. Takes that for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. On the season, batting .278 with 8 RBI. And she lifts one in the straightaway center field. Angel Urbina, misjudged it. Took 2 steps in, and that ball carried out to straightaway center field. 1 hop to the fence, and that's going to be a stand-up double for Enriquez. 3rd hit of the game. I know Ryan saw that. He might have agreed with you and may have called it an error, but that's a straight-up double as Amber Rinke steps into the batter's box.
There's more than one old person at this table, Ryan. You may have to help.
There's a foul ball, dead ball, came back up and hit Rinke in the box, so it's a foul ball.
You know, I'm with Mark on this one. She gets over to where that ball should have been on the initial judgment, stares into the sun, and just completely misplays it. And that ball gets over her head. So I'm with Mark on this one.
I got the official, so that's a hit.
In his scorebook.
No, on the scoreboard, fellas. Look at it. This one's chopped over Flores' head, Lopez's head, and Enrique stops at 3rd, and on the way to 2nd is Rinke with good base running. And runners at 2nd and 3rd with Alexandra DeYoung at the plate. Now here's the thing. Can I give her a double on that one? There was no throw. She didn't stop at first. She was going to second all the way.
Yeah, but she went to second on the throw, not towards second base. So, boy, I tell you,
I'll give you that one.
I don't want to be pitching on Corey's team. My ERA is going to be 17.
That's okay. On my team, earned run average doesn't matter, remember? Everybody's hitting 500. One ball, one strike, no outs. Top of the second inning, already a 2-0 lead for the Hawks. DeYoung, Lopez comes home. There's a rundown at third. Ranke's going to stay on third. DeYoung stays on second base. Out of the baseline is Enriquez. Looks like she twisted her ankle as she tried to get back to third. So base running error by the Hawks.
Well, and here's the thing again, Corey. Now, Medrano, Ryan, you're out there. Medrano has the ball thrown to her. There's a runner standing at third. You run that runner back to third base. If the other runner tries to retreat to second, you tag one of them. You don't take time to be in a rundown to maybe throw the ball away.
And it kind of forces the base runners into a mental error. Let's say the person on third doesn't realize that they have the right to that bag, and they start going back to second. You have a chance at tagging both runners out.
Yep.
There's a ball, no strikes to Riley Sipe. Off-speed pitches in there for a strike, 1-2. That was a nice pitch, guys. So there's one out, runners in scoring position at second and third. Already 2 runs across the plate. That one's low and outside. 2 balls, 1 strike. Is that really the count? 2 balls, 1 strike?
2 balls, 1 strike.
Okay. Top of the second. Off-speed pitch outside, 2-2. Or excuse me, 3-1. Don't know where I was at just now, Mark.
Heat, baby, heat.
3-1 pitch. Ball 4 outside. So she takes the walk, and now the bases are loaded. Coach goes out. There's a meeting in the circle with Taylor Whitney with 1 out. And guys, here's where you love to see a speedy team who knows how to handle the bat. Squeeze play. Push that through type of bunt to score that runner from third base. You don't want anything to go in the air. If you're not going to squeeze play that, make sure you're chopping. Chop some wood out there.
Corey, you're getting some opposition out here in right field. Ed Ford is shaking his head no, and one of the reasons why is because of how well Santiago has been swinging the bat. They have the ability to drive the ball in this game, and especially since they have runners on. And in their last 3 innings of play, they have been pretty efficient in driving them home.
Yeah, but look who you got coming up. You got Whitney, who can really handle the bat. And because it's Whitney, you're going to drag people in. You've got the outfield in. You've got the infield breathing down Whitney's neck.
Takes that one outside for a strike. Outside corner, I should say, for a strike. No balls, 1 strike. 1 out. A chance for the Hawks to blow it open here in the second inning. There's one bounce right to Lucieri, and gets it in time, and a sliding Rinky is out of there. Almost a bunt, a swinging bunt for the second out.
And Corey, when you saw that ball hit the ground and almost die out there, you almost thought the Hawks are just going to get an excellent break because there's no play at home. I mean, really give it to the young woman in the circle. That's a heck of a defensive play.
Bases still loaded. DeYoung at third base, Sipe at second, and Whitney at first base, and Elliott to do. If you're a Hawk, high pitch, 1 ball, no strikes.
When you talk about that defensive play there, Mark, she gets that on a short hop. It bounces in the dirt before she's able to get to that ball.
That one hits her on the elbow, takes base.
The reason being is that, let's say a person has a 3.0 ERA in the circle. That's their earned run average. That doesn't count the runs that they have given up. So if you add the runs that they have given up to their ERA, you're looking at like a 4.25, a 4.5. That's not good if you're giving up 4.5 runs per game or 4 runs per game. If you're sitting more at a 2 or a 2.3, then you're looking at just 3 runs per game. So the lower the ERA, the better it is.
What should the average earned run average? Oh, there's a nice bunt placed down by Urbina. She's over to first, not in time. Or excuse me, in time. But the runner advances to second. 1 out.
To answer your question, Corey, 2.8 and under.
Is the average.
Oh, average?
What's the average?
At the community college level, it's
Yes.
around a 3.3.
That's all I was saying. What's the average earned run?
And in the top 25, Ryan Osborn, when you look at the teams of the top 21, D1, D2, D3.
You're looking at a 1.8 and lower.
Thank you. And here's where I bring it up in playoffs.
So
Corey
wait.
says,
So
a minute,
So is 1.8 good? Is 1.8 what you
1.8.
want? 1.8. That's where you want to be?
He's going to say that's what the average
Okay.
is.
But you guys are talking about 0.98s, 0.80s. That's not the average, gentlemen. 1 out. Runner on second. There's a bouncer. Enrique's up with it. No, goes off of her foot into center field, and coming around to score is the pinch runner, Audrey Sebastian, making it a 5-1 game. And Mark is going to say E4.
And I'm going to continue with this, our ERA thing, Ryan, because we've talked about it all year long. And we're to the point now where Corey says, well, you're talking about the elite groups. We're in regional playoffs. These are the elite teams that move on.
So
These are the elite programs. Their ERA should be that elite number.
So every team that makes the playoffs is an elite team. There's a base hit in the right field. Whitney up with it over to second base, not in time. Howard safe at second on a hit
The teams that
by
move on,
Medrano.
the super regionals, should be elite teams. Santiago Canyon, 2016.
Wait, hold on.
Cypress College.
That's not. You said they should be, but every team.
I'm going to say they are.
every
that
team
move
that,
on.
Every team that makes the playoffs is elite.
That move on
That
out of
move
the
on.
regionals.
Okay. Mark's never played in the playoffs. 1 out, bottom of the second inning, 5-1. Lancer's trying to get back into this one. Runners at first and second.
I was always on the elite teams, Ryan.
Some of us actually had to play, guys. 4 hits for the Hawks, 3 hits for the home team Lancers. There's one bounced foul. Runner at first is Medrano. That's Geneve Medrano.
But when do we, I mean, honestly, guys, when do we drag everything down so that everybody is average? Or do we say there are those elite teams and that's where you want to be at?
There's elite teams, there's average teams, there's lucky teams. This one's pop foul. 1 and 2, 1 out.
But I agree with Mark. Everyone who is at the regional or is moving on to the super regional should be considered elite. And if they're looking at pitching staffs that are sitting at over 2.5, that's not good.
And he is high, 2 balls, 2 strikes. But my pitching staff has a 2.5 earned run average, and I make it to next week. That's elite.
Well, you brought up the word lucky, so.
No, that's elite in your definition. 2-2 pitch down the dive, past the diving Rinky, and here comes a play at home, out at the plate. Over to third, safe at third is Medrano, but out at the plate is Howard as she tried to stretch her legs and score. But Amber Elliott, can we say, gunned it home to throw out, and a nice tag by McKenna Boyle. And there's going to be discussion at the plate Was she blocking the plate, McKenna Boyle? Umpire says no, she was in front of the plate and came around with the sweep tag.
Well, Mark, this is a situation that you talk about all the time for outfielders defensively. You want them to get behind the ball, make sure their body is completely behind the ball, so should they not get it with their glove, at least they can knock it down. Amber Elliott gets behind that ball, uses her momentum, and translates it forward.
First pitch. Outside for a strike, or excuse me, for a ball. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, you watch the throw that she makes, and then you see where a catcher lines up properly to make a play on a sliding player.
And that was a 3rd hit of the inning, gentlemen. Or excuse me, the 2nd hit of the inning.
Yeah, we had an error there.
That is right. Check swing, did she go? They're gonna say no at 3rd base. 2 balls and 1 strike, 2 outs. Bottom of the 2nd inning. Game 3 of the 3-game set. You gotta win 2 to advance. Outside corner, caught it, 2-2. So every broadcaster who does baseball and softball, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2nd inning, 2 on base. Loves this phrase. Let's see what Iniguez has in store for Hernandez. She flares 1 foul.
Well, and you think, guys, right now, this could be the biggest at bat for Pasadena. I mean, they get a base hit. They're only down by 2. They have an opportunity. They can only get 1 run in. We'll see how that diminishes their hopes and picks up the spirits of the Hawks from Santiago Canyon.
This one's fouled back as well. Hernandez doing a nice job of staying alive.
And this is where you get into the area of quality at bats and making sure that you wear down an opposing pitcher early on in games. If you're behind by 4 runs, you just want to extend as much as possible.
She flares 1 to left field. Sipe is under it. One-handed grab, and that'll end the inning. So 1 run, 2 hits only, 1 error, and 2 batters left on, or 2 runners left on base at the end of 2. SCC 5, PCC 1. This is the regional playoffs of the CCCAA on SportsNetUSA.net. Corey Neyland, Mark Pavlovich, Ed Ford, Ryan Osborn on the call for you here in beautiful Orange, California.
And of course, we were talking about D1 softball. Well, as of today, who's in #1 team in the nation? Well, it's a team that Ryan Osborn knows a lot about because he was talking to the coaches lately. UCLA sitting there at 44-3, followed by Oregon, followed by Oklahoma, Florida, Georgia, Washington, Texas, Arizona State, Texas A&M, Arizona, and then Florida State at number 11. Wow, I guess, well, Ed Ford. Oh, Ryan Osborn. Guess who's sitting at number 17? Go ahead, tell me, Ryan.
Long Beach State University.
That's right. Long Beach State University sitting at number 17. I don't see anything that says, where'd you go to school at?
Cal State Fullerton, the same school that Pasadena coach Monica Tatlinger went to as well.
Oh, and not to mention what I also don't see for Long Beach State is Big West Conference standings.
What? I can't hear you.
I think he meant to say national championships, Mark. I'm sorry.
Oh. But, Mark, you talk about the top 10 list, especially in the NCAA. That's actually going to switch around just a little bit. I mean, when you saw UCLA jump up to that #1 spot, it was on the heels of a 3-game sweep against Washington 2 weekends ago, in which they only allowed 2 runs to the Washington Huskies, who were #1 at the time. And just earlier today, Ole Miss ended up taking down #5 Georgia. So those are going to change around a little bit, as Oregon is also struggling in their series.
You know, and I agree with Ed Ford. I mean, we've talked about the regionals and the super regionals on D1, and it seems like there is bias when you come to looking at those teams and how you set them up.
And Verratti takes that one for a ball. One ball, no strikes. We're in the top of the third with the Hawks with a 5-1 lead. And yes, there is a bias. We don't want to get into that right now, though. Takes that one high, 2-0. Yes, we do. What is that bias, guys?
Well, there's a bias to stack West Coast teams against Western teams against each other so that they don't make the pool for the College World Series.
And that is high, just above the letters and the numbers. 3 balls, no strikes. And there is a strike inside corner, 3 balls, 1 strike. And speaking of bias, no matter what level you're at, community college, pro, high school, is the player of the year, MVP? There's another strike inside corner, brings it full count. Always a player from one of the top 2 teams.
I don't think they should be. I really don't.
And Ryan, what do you think about that?
No, I absolutely agree with Mark. I mean, you have Megan Preble, who's playing on a very low-name university, but right now she leads the entire NCAA in RBIs, is second in home runs, and yet she plays for a...
At the end of 2.5, Santiago Canyon has a 5-1 lead over PCC Lancers.
You know, you go back to that last play and you watch Medrano over at short, and many people will talk about glove position when they watch a defensive player. A lot of people will position them poorly. You watch Medrano take her glove and put it up against her body, had the right height, and knew that when the ball hit there, if she took the free hand and covered it, Ryan Osborn using 2 hands just to get a ground ball, you're not going to drop the ball. What you get to also do, Ryan, is as soon as you catch it, you get to make that motion. One of the things that we see on all levels of the game now, Ryan, through the years, be it the young men or young women that play the game with the bat and the ball, too many have gone away from that traditional, and you teased me earlier today when I threw you some tape. It seems like those 2-handed catches have just faded away in either the game of softball or baseball.
Absolutely, and actually that was part of the subject of conversation that I had with Coach Inouye Perez out of UCLA. I asked her, hey, you know, when you look at the game of softball, it's more fundamental on the defensive side, and especially when you have fielders in the outfield who go to balls and they just, you know, kind of side saddle it, throw one glove out there. And she said, look, the one thing that is instructed to our outfielders even before they get to UCLA in those camps is that they have to grab the ball with 2 hands. And if you don't, you're not going to see playing time.
Angelica Lopez, Natalia Velasquez, and Amanda Flores batters this inning, bottom of the third. She takes the first pitch outside for a ball. This one, she crushes foul down the left field line, 1-1. Angelica Lopez trying to turn on a pitch, get something going for her team. Sophomore third baseman, 3 home runs, 30 RBI coming into this series, 385 batting average, and what Marks likes, 432 on-base percentage. At 42 hits. Off-speed pitch, too low. 2-1.
When you watch her, she's very quiet with her bat. She likes to move her hands around a little, but her bat is very quiet when she's at the plate, which gives her that opportunity to get bat on the ball.
Outside, fastball missed. 3 balls, 1 strike.
And she's using, even though it's a metal one, Ryan, she's using a Louisville Slugger, which is what I like too. That brings back memories.
And she lines one in the left field down the line. She's rounding first, and she's going to stay on first for a single. Twisted her left ankle just a little bit, rounding the first base bag.
But Corey, you watch her at the plate, and we saw her in that first game too. It's somebody who is a very, very quiet and very, very calm at the plate when she gets up there. So she gets bat on the ball when she swings every time up there.
and the trainers are going out to visit her. As she was turning and rounding first base, she rounded it with her left foot, and she couldn't decide if she was slowing down or wanted to speed up. And when she hit it, came out and kind of rolled it to the outside of her ankle, stepping with her inside foot.
I think she was thinking double like I was when she first hit the ball down there, but you've got to give the outfield. Once again, Sipe gets on the ball quickly. That's the one thing. You know, when you look at some of these players, it's how quick do you get to the ball? How do you recover on a base hit? Not only how well you throw it, but mentally how you get people to stop or rethink their running tactics as a base runner.
Let's bring up Natalia Vasquez, the designated player, grounded to third in her first bat. A 4.31 average mark. She takes that first pitch for a strike. Last game, she popped up, grounded out, singled, and popped up again.
Infield comes in a little for the Hawks from Santiago.
And that's high 2-0, or excuse me, 1-1.
Outfield comes in about 2 or 3 steps against her.
She lines one, laces it into left center field, gets to the wall. Lopez stops at third on a double. Stand up. Lopez doesn't stop. She scores all the way from first base on the overthrow. Velasquez heads to third base, so she's a double on the books on the overthrow. She advances to third. And Lopez says, you know what, my ankle is hurting so much. I'm around third, get back to the dugout so I can get some ice on it. 5-2 Hawks.
And Ryan, you're in the outfield. I got to go back to you, Ryan, because if you watch the outfield for Santiago, they stepped in about 5 steps on a hitter that, again, squares up on the ball. And once again, you square up on the ball, you hit it in the alley. We've seen it. We've been on this turf. The ball will roll out there. A little surprised they have the outfield coming in as shallow as they did.
And Mark, when you mentioned that, not only did they come in shallow, but you take a look at Amber Elliott in center field right as that ball comes off the bat. She takes one step in and then realizes where that ball is hit and then has to go backtracking all the way to the wall. So not only does being shallow hurt them, but also that initial step in also puts them behind in the play.
And there's a strike given to Amanda Flores, who struck out in the first inning. Iniguez really not sharp with her location. Both of those hits in this first inning, right down the heart of the plate. Low and outside, 1-1. And she's going to need a little bit more velocity on her pitches if she just wants to blow by people. 5-2 is your score. Bounce foul past third. 2 runs, 4 hits. 1 error for the Lancers. 5 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Hawks. Off-speed pitch, bowled in there. 2 balls, 2 strikes. No outs. First 2 runners reached base. One of them scored. This one's fouled back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And we were talking about the player of the years. I forgot to print the email, that response from Ed Ford about the Northern player of the year. And that was an interesting email, because you went back and after this pitch, 2 balls, 2 strikes. This one's bounced to DeYoung at first base, and she just relaxes on it. And unsure what she was thinking, but she just came up on it too quickly. E3, and the run will score. Mark, you want to explain that one?
Well, I mean, what she did is, I almost think when the way the ball was going, she nonchalanted it when you looked at her going over there at first base and thought, oh, the ball's going to go foul. And every once in a while, you lose your bearings as an infielder on where you're standing on the field. She goes down to get it, the ball pounces up, gets her shin, kicks from fair territory to foul territory, and we get a runner over at first base.
And guys, I think that's the 3rd error by the Hawks in this game. I've got 1 in inning.
And Ryan, this goes back to what we've discussed. And not only is it ERA, but we've also, that some of us are sticklers on fielding percentage. I mean, and I know that Dale's back at home going, oh, Mark, you're bringing up an old subject. Hey, if your team can't make the play, you're going to allow another team to get back in the game.
Amber Ingram will run for Amanda Flores. The score is 5-3, guys.
Well,
And
Mark,
go ahead, Ryan.
And not only does it allow for the other team to get back into the game, but it also gets into your own head. If you can't make an initial play later on in the game where you see that same opportunity, let's say you're down at third, you muff the first one, and you see a ball coming to you, next one.
That's high. 1 ball, 1 strike for Kaylee Madrano.
Next one, you're going to be indecisive. You're going to try and play it conservative so you don't commit an error, and it forces more mental mistakes.
Madrano squares around, takes it for a strike, 1-1, or excuse me, 0-2.
Well, unlike some of the other sports, if it's basketball, you can be 0 for 25, but you still have a chance to shoot. You might only have 4 balls hit at you in a softball game. So that's why, like you said, Ryan, you've got to be sure on each one.
This one's grounded to Enriquez, flips over to second. On the first, not in time, but Rinke, and Enriquez got the lead runner for the first out. And if you're scored at home, that's 4-6. And this will bring up Urbina. Angel hit by grounded to third in her first at bat today. Lines 1 foul. And Urbina with the check swing. So we're going to call that a goulash hit, what she had last game. Second team all STC. This one's outside corner for a strike. No balls, 2 strikes. 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd inning. 5-3 your score. And they thought it was a pitch out. Thought she was running.
But Corey, watch Urbina again. I mean, she's on top of the front line. We'll see what this home plate umpire calls if it's close.
But watch when you can tell when she's going to swing. She'll come back first. And then she'll move up. And there's strike 3, 2 outs. And that's her first strikeout today. But no, again, you watch Urbina, you see she's up on that top line, but when you know she's going to swing, she'll back up just a little bit while the pitcher's in motion, and then she'll run up. So now Alex Howard steps in, a right-handed batter. Takes one in the dirt for ball 1. Outfield straight away. Outside 2-0. And you take a look at the outfield guys in the field position. We'll set that up. We've got Verratti, Rinke, Enriquez, and DeYoung in the infield. Sipe, Elliott, and Whitney in the outfield. They always are playing straight away. That's in there at the knees, 2 balls, 1 strike. There's really no variation there. It looks like they're just counting on their speed to get to any ball. Foul tipped, 2-2. 2 outs, bottom of the 3rd inning. 2 runs across for the PCC, and they're staying in this game. Guys, just when you thought Santiago Canyon, they had the momentum, was going to run away with it, the Lancers, as they've done all year, we're still here. This one's lifted in the right center field. Back goes Whitney. Left-hander makes the catch at the warning track. So 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 left on base. At the end of 3, Hawks 5, Lancers 3. This is the CCCAA Regional Softball Playoffs on SportsNetUSA.net.
Guys, when you look what's going on, and we see some of the teams, Corey, you just lost that flew that way. Piece of paper flew away from Corey Neyland. You look at some of the teams that have already moved on. This is when I'd like to have Ed Ford if he had headsets on too, because we know Ed is a little more reliable in the Northern California teams than we are. We sort of follow the Southern teams. We figured Cypress would move on. We figured El Camino would move on.
Really? Did you really feel that way? I seem to recall Santa Ana being someone's surprise team.
Well, that was my surprise team,
Okay.
but I mean, I'm just saying that most people would have said El Camino.
Okay.
I like Santa Ana, but again, El Camino with a pitching staff, I'm telling you, I don't know how they win, but they do it.
And really, that's why we all thought Santa Ana had a real good chance of advancing.
Yeah, when you really look at it. And they moved on. But Bakersfield right now, and Palomar, I don't know. I put those two teams in sort of rarefied air. Am I wrong there? Corey Neyland's shaking his head no.
Ryan, you want to take this one?
Actually, I was going to ask if you guys had any more scoring updates from Northern California.
I'll look in a second. But, Ryan, you want to give us an answer if you got one? Or give Ed your headsets?
Actually, we didn't hear. We were conversing over to the side. So.
Oh, okay.
Mark was talking about the teams that should advance or the keys that will advance. He's got Bakersfield, that rarefied air, and Palomar down in the south, in the SoCal. So we wanted to ask Ed what he thought about that and what he thinks is the rarefied or the favorites up north. Alex DeYoung steps into the batter's box. Her first at bat, fielder's choice, but came around to score a run in the second. The first baseman, majoring in criminal justice, wants to be an SVU detective. Left-handed batter. Lines one down the right field line, foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, Ryan, you can tell Ed Diablo Valley won their game over Ohlone. Fresno City loses, well, they're in the 7th inning against San Joaquin Delta. It is 2-1 in that game. San Mateo, they're going to win their game, run away. Nobody's telling me anything for Sacramento. Don't know anything.
So that Diablo Valley game, Mark, that is going to go to 3 games. Ohlone won that first game yesterday, 7-1. And who else did you say? Fresno City. San Joaquin Delta won yesterday, 9-5. So if they win today, they advance. If they lose, well, they got a game 3 going.
And I think somebody shot the carrier pigeon at Monterey Peninsula. There's still no score.
There won't be a score until tonight, probably 11 o'clock.
Okay.
1 ball, 2 strikes, no outs. Top of the 4th inning, ladies and gentlemen, and a 5-3 lead for Santiago Canyon. Popped up in the infield. Howard waves everyone off and makes the catch. P4, now we move to the top of the order with Riley Sipe. Walked and walked, scored and scored in her first 2 attempts in this game. In the first game, Mark, she really got things going with the solo home run. Ryan said that thing went 345 feet. Mike Trout type of home run, Sue Lewis type of home run if you're old like us.
Hey, you could also go Jasmine Mosadegi.
You could. That one's in the dirt, 1-0. I was going to say Emily Olagi, but you know.
She's not having too bad of a year down at San Diego.
Yeah, that's in there, 1-1. Yeah, she's a good player. You talk about the former Santiago Canyon players. And this one's deep to the warning track. Oh, and a leaping catch by Urbina. And makes the spectacular second out.
Let me
My
tell you there,
goodness.
Corey, as she was backpedaling and getting back to the wall, what you love to see from an outfielder is them searching out where the wall is so they don't have to take their eye off the ball. That's exactly what Arena does. She goes on a dead sprint out to the warning track. Once she realizes she's near the track, she reaches her arm out and then is able to make that grab because of her field awareness.
Whitney takes a strike one, 0-1. She singled and reached on a fielder's choice and for her first two at-bats and scored both times. Lisa Camargo's done a good job in her 12th season. This one's fouled or flared, and a nice running grab by Kaylee Medrano to end the inning. So as they say, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. That's 3 up and 3 down as we move to the bottom of the 4th inning. 5-3 Hawks. And the regionals, not the super regionals, just the regionals of the CCCAA softball playoffs on SportsNetUSA.net.
Guys, do you get the feeling this was almost like the game that we just saw? I mean, a lot of the fans, the Pasadena fans, thought this game was sort of that last game. Hey, we have it. We're feeling good. And then all of a sudden, and if you were Santiago, you sit behind it right now. Everybody was feeling good too. All of a sudden, Corey, you look at the scoreboard, and now it's like, wow, here comes Pasadena.
Yeah, it's just a reverse of that first game. And we talked about Lisa Camargo and with the job she's done here at Santiago Canyon. You take a look at the last 2 years in 17 and 18. Alyssa Soika in Hawaii, and we talked about Emily Olagi, who holds the home run records here and RBI records at University of San Diego. Manoa Vigurtse at Cal Baptist, Sabrina Canales at Hope International. That's all from last year.
Don't forget Alyssa Soika, who's now down at the University of Hawaii.
Yep.
One of their top 3 batters.
Medrano, Jay Medrano fouls it off, 0-1. In that 2016 team, Jordan Hicks, Riley Narwhal, Jessica Daniel, Caitlin Linksbury, and Shannon Thornton. I think all those players had like 50 stolen bases.
Oh yeah, they ran, didn't they?
They finished 14-7 in the OEC. And Niguez delivers one up, and this one's just missed by Ranky. Nice try for it, just goes off of her glove. And Mark, you're gonna give that an error or a hit? I give her a hit. Ryan, what you got?
I like hit on that one
Thank
because
you.
she had a dead run into left field, and though it goes off the top of her glove, it's a hard play to be able to get to.
I give it a hit as well. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits for the Lancers, and they're down 5-3. Montanez takes that one for a strike.
And Ryan, you brought up all these players and where they moved on. The other thing is, I think you've interviewed a few coaches that all went to Point Loma.
Yeah.
Lisa went to Point Loma. What is it with Point Loma supplying all these coaches?
This one, same exact spot. Sipe is there for make that catch. No respect for the power of the Lancers. Runner at second base is Medrano. Hernandez up to the plate with 1 out. Now you're down by 2. All season long, guys, the Lancers are station to station, move along, matriculate, and manufacture those runs. Same thing? Or no?
Oh, I think what you do is if you're here, you try to bunt for a base hit. But if you don't get that base hit, it's enough to move somebody to third base. I don't think it's a dead sacrifice. I think you try to bunt for a hit.
Just outside to Hernandez, 1-0.
And Mark, you were talking about people from Point Loma. You can't forget the coach that I interviewed about 2 weeks ago, Coach Raposa down at El Camino.
Yep.
Who you guys were just talking about.
Line right up the middle off Iniguez's glove. Holding at third is Medrano. Rounding first is Hernandez. Runners at the corners with 1 out. So tension time, 2 hits in the inning, 1 out. And so we've got Angelica Lopez, Mark, who sacrificed in the first inning, ripped one in the third inning, and 1 out. Outside and low, 1-0.
Well, I don't know why you don't start the runner at first, is what I would do. I would start the runner at first. I start Hernandez, put her in motion, make them make a play on her at second base.
This one's deep into center field, and right under it is going to be Elliott. Tagging at third is Medrano. She scores easily to make it a run ball game. Five to 4 is your score. Runner at first is Hernandez with 2 outs. And Natalia Velasquez coming up. She had an RBI double in the third inning and scored a run. Got a break in the action?
I think they were allowing the umpire to move from third to second base.
Oh, he's moving more slowly than we are.
Yeah, and then we got timeout by Lisa.
You know, guys, I bought and brought a cooler of water.
Now it's warm. Make
Yeah.
tea with it, right? Ryan, you know, we were talking about the ladies come from Paloma and everything else. You got Lisa that's got a PhD. I'm not sure if the coach at El Camino, if she had a PhD or not. Did she have a doctorate degree?
I believe it was a master's.
She had a master's degree. Okay. And say nowadays you're seeing so many of these young ladies that are really wonderful educators that are getting these graduate degrees. I know Ed Ford has interviewed a couple people up in Northern California that they, there was, I know at least one coach, maybe two, maybe get Ed to give you, let you know number-wise, that I know they had graduate degrees also in Northern California.
Iguez delivers high, head high, 1-0. 2 outs in the fourth inning. We're in the bottom of the fourth inning, even though Santiago Canyon is hosting these 3-game set. This third game, they are the visiting team.
Well, I mean, you can also go to Coach Bell in the high desert, who, though she graduated from CSUN, she's now the head coach over there. I believe it was Saracoso. And she's working on her master's while she's coaching.
Just job security, guys. 2 balls, no strikes. Off-speed pitch, misses high. 3 balls and no strikes with 2 outs.
Well, let's not forget, they are educators too. I mean, they're not just coaches, they are educators.
That's in there for a strike. 31 on the scoreboard with 2 outs. Wind-up delivery. Inside. And Niguez doesn't like it. The fans don't like it. Pasadena says, we'll take it, and we definitely like it. Runners at first and second, and that'll bring up Amanda Flores.
Well, it's interesting, too. Few of the Pasadena fans left, and Ryan, it was almost like when Santiago won that game, they sort of went, oh, gosh, here it comes. And, you know, now you're probably on your cell phone calling them going, you shouldn't have left. We're back in this game. Hey,
No.
you know, we're going to steal one here.
I'm looking over here, Mark, and everybody's still here.
So we'll see what happens is we're going to get a change in the circle for Santiago. So Stallings is going to come back in. It's nice to see her out there. She took that line drive off her thigh in that first game. And, I mean, it was a shot back at her, and it's nice to see that she isn't hurt. I'm sure she's got a bruise there, but she's out here again to get in the circle and be able to take over for Santiago Canyon here in this inning. So it's nice to know that she's ready to go and assumes control for this team as they're up currently 5-4 over Pasadena City College. Winner moves on. It's one thing about all the playoffs. You can have a sensational season, Ryan Osborn, but all it takes is one team to make it. Oh, if only. If only.
Well, I mean, when you talk about that, Mark, that's what Santiago was looking right down the barrel of in that first game. They were down 3-0 going into the 6th inning, and though they had had a pretty good season in the Orange Empire Conference and overall, they were looking at a 1-0 game deficit and also a pretty sizable deficit going into their final 9 outs.
Flores now comes up plate. She got on an error and then was taken out at second base on a fielder's choice her last time up. Runners at first and second, 2 outs. Pasadena trying to say, hey, we're going to get even and make this a nail biter. Stallings now in the circle for the Hawks. Pitcher of record in that first game. And you sort of wonder if Pasadena ties this game, do we see the screwball pitcher appear for Pasadena? Off speed, just a little high. 2-2's the count, 2 outs. Runner in first and second. Hawks up by 1. Here in the bottom of the 4th. 2-2 count. Just a little ahead of it. Runners go back home. Pretty afternoon for softball. Great field to be at. Wonderful group of fans that have turned out today.
One thing, Mark, you also got to love the uniform matchup today.
I do like the uniforms. Lancers wearing Arizona colors.
Arizona State.
Oh, excuse me, Arizona State. Wow.
And that style of jersey is referred to as the Tequila Sunrise.
And that sort of set it off on a third called strike that brings us to the end of the 4th inning, but not before another run comes across the board, and now we're sitting here at 5-4 with Santiago getting ready to start the 5th inning here on Sportsnet USA.net. Ryan Osborn, Ed Ford, Corey Neyland, Gabby Neyland, and of course the old guy, Mark Pavlovich, out here for a wonderful afternoon of community college softball. That's right. It's the regionals where everybody gets that opportunity to move on, and then you head for the super regionals. And we just keep whittling things down till finally somebody comes away with a championship. Last year was sort of magical. Cypress College never loses a game last year to win the whole thing. And it was Fullerton College, one of their nemesis, that stopped the streak this year. So interesting. Of course, we look at Santiago 2016. They moved on as state champions. So Lisa has done a remarkable job at this school. Get some very talented softball players. And Ryan, really, you've been around the PGF, the Michelle Carew Classic, both on sportsnetUSA.net. California's just a hotbed of talent. Let's just say it the way it is. You want softball players? Come and pick the oranges if you like orange juice, and come and take the softball players if you want championship teams in your region.
Well, I mean, Mark, you mentioned that, and earlier you were talking about top NCAA Division I players, Jesse Scroggins, Orange County. You look at Sidney Romero, Southern California. There are just so many players in the NCAA level, not to mention community college, that are elite level softball players in Southern California.
Elliott just pops it up on the first pitch for the first out in the inning. Yeah, and that's the thing that's, you know, we were talking about the pitchers and the ERA, and Ryan, it's just amazing. You look at so many of these girls that we've seen play, and you go, gosh, they're in the top 25 of pitching on D1 softball. Nice little drop down the turn. It's going to be big, big. Oh, nice again. Sweet little bunt, and you've just got to get out as Lopez is now in the circle for Pasadena, and she breaks out just a little slow. So Lopez now in the circle.
And
Gets a slow break coming out of there.
And you talk about people who not only are from Southern California and who have done great jobs when they move on, but also that we mentioned here on SportsNetUSA.net. You look at Alyssa Palomino out of Mission Viejo. She now leads Arizona in home runs and RBI. Not only is there a lot of talent in Southern California, but Orange County in general.
Once again, runner takes off, heads for third, throw over to third base, and it's thrown away. So Pasadena's not been able, Corey Neyland's back. Corey, once again, the running and the inaccurate throws is allowed Santiago Canyon to get in scoring position.
Yeah, it allows Santiago Canyon to get those 3 runs in the last game to tie it up. And here it could have been more devastating because if they're only down 1. So when you're down 1 or you have a lead, don't make that extra throw. Don't try to make the big play. Just keep everybody in front of you and play not a prevent defense, but a smarter defense. And that one's low and outside. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. As we sit here in the top of the 5th inning. And that's outside and high. 3 balls and 1 strike. And I caught the end of what you guys were talking about local talent here in Orange County. Guys, gentlemen, I know we've talked about it before. It's the best talent in the country for softball, hands down. And that's outside and high. So Verratti gets on base for the first time today.
And I have to ask you guys, I mean, though we talk about that Southern California talent, and we've mentioned it before, but do you think that even though it is hot today, it's 91, 92 to start off that first game, but do you think the weather here in Southern California plays into that?
What do you mean?
Because
it's sunny all the time?
And you have more time to perfect your craft.
Of course, and there is a wild throw, and that's going to score Didion from third base and advance. Verratti, who actually walked her last time at bat, reaches for the second time, advances to third as she stole second base. Gentlemen, we were just talking about it. You don't need to make the big play. You need to make the smart play. 6-4 is your score.
Well, and Ryan, if you watch the last play too, if you're playing third base, you played the game. Corey's played the game. My catcher's throwing the ball into the body of a runner. Let me tell you, I'm going to make the runner get out of the way. I'm going to fight and have the umpire tell me I knocked them off the bag.
And McKenna Boyle's looking for a 2-run home run on these last 2 pitches, guys. 0-2.
Mark, when you mentioned that, a runner going down towards third is paying attention to where the third baseman is going to catch the ball. They're not looking at where that ball is being thrown, so they'll get out of the way if they realize that a defensive player is coming at them.
Outside, good eye for Boyle. 1-2. And guys, if anything comes low, Boyle's going to attack it.
Corey Neyland's calling it already. You know that, Ryan Osborn.
Now she lays one down, and here comes the runner from third. She is out. As Lopez, with the quick reaction, flips it to Medrano, applies the tag chest level on Verratti for the second out of the inning.
And Corey, that's the correct call from out here in right field. I could see that play, as the runner is coming down towards home, they go to slide with their left knee tucked and their right foot going towards home. They missed home plate with their right foot, and it was the left knee that touches home. By that point, they had already been tagged.
6-4 your score. It stays.
Ought to be young and have great eyes.
There's a perfect hole right in the outfield where I can see home plate.
And Boyle reached first with 2 outs here in the top of the 5th.
Ryan, I believe you, because Corey and I could be sitting right on top of home plate and we'd both see it differently. So
Lays one down, and Enrique's guiding to first base. She's out of there. Good play by Flores, throwing over to Howard for the third out. And guys, that's like a game-saving play, a game-changing play. Well, yeah, you're down 2, but you could be down 3. And how big is to get 3 runs in this ball game when you're moving to the bottom of the 5th inning? You got 3 more at bats.
Yeah, and we've already seen it here where we've seen teams, both these teams are hitting each other. I mean, Ryan, you look at it right now. Pasadena's got 8 hits in this game. There's been a couple errors that have made out there. So they're getting on base, Ryan. It's not like they're being stopped every inning. And just like you said, Corey, to stay close, it feels like you have that chance to maybe tie this game up and do what Santiago did in the bottom of the 7th. Don't forget, next week we're going to have more softball here on SportsNetUSA.net starting on Friday. That's right, we're going to be at the Super Regionals come Friday on SportsNetUSA.net, and then we'll be back on Saturday. So Corey Neyland will be out there. I'll be out there. Mr. Ed Ford, who is always out there. Ryan Osborn is going to show up for a day or 2. Have a little fun with softball on SportsNetUSA.net, so make sure you stick with us. You can always tweet Corey and I. We're on Twitter. You can get Ryan Osborn on Twitter if you ever want to make a comment about us calling the game and saying, oh man, what are you, out of your mind? What game were you watching? I'll just blame it on Corey and Ryan. That's okay.
So Madrana, that's Kaylee. 4 runs, officially 4 runs, 8 hits. No errors for the Lancers. And Danielle Stallings was now in the circle for the Hawks. She's trying to close this game out in the final 3 innings. Madrano hit by a pitch, fielder's choice, and takes that for a strike, 1-1. She flies one to left center field. Under it is Amber Elliott for the first out. That'll bring up Urbina. On deck is Howard. For Urbina, Mark, with the entertaining, or not entertaining, but always active at bat. See where she spots up in the box this time. See where she ends up in the box. It's another Hawk overhead. Takes that on the outside corner for a strike, 0-1.
Can I ask you something? Because I thought it was something new. Has there always been a defensive player of the year?
Not that I can remember. Not that they show.
Okay.
And there's a bounce back to Stallings, stepping on base, and that's safe. Again. DeYoung, lackadaisical at first base, lazy to get her foot on the bag, and Urbina, speedy, beats out the throw. Now I'm going to give her a hit.
Oh, you gave her a hit?
I'm going to give her a hit because she was hustling down the line.
Wow.
A lot of players would have given up on that.
I get the error call over to my right-hand side. It's going to be 3-1 against you, Corey.
Yeah, but watch the scoreboard. And yes, it should be an error, but I'm giving her a hit. This one's bounced back to Stalling, over to Rinke at second. First base, not in time, but they get the lead runner. So that's out number 2. And this will bring up Geneva Madrano. So Geneva singled her last time at bat and scored a run. I know there's been defensive player for maybe the conferences, but not for the state that I've seen.
Okay.
This one's a line to Enriquez, boots it, not in time. Everybody's safe. Now that is an E4. Just ate her up, Mark.
Wait a minute, what happened to that old statement? Too hot to handle.
Let me put it this way. Looks like us with a fork at the golden that buffet.
Okay.
Just ate up everything. One ball, no strikes, 2 outs, bottom of the 5th inning. Pasadena threatening. Montanez at bat, takes that for a ball, 2 balls and still no strikes.
And you know, Ryan, if you'd have said to Pasadena, I'll give you 9 hits and 4 runs, I think they would have taken it thinking they would walk away with 2 out of 3.
This one's bounced. Verratti guns it over to DeYoung and says, stop this. 5-3 if you're scoring. So no runs on 1 hit, 1 error, 2 left on. At the end of 5, full. Santiago 6, Pasadena 4. You are listening to the CCCAA Softball Regional Playoffs on SportsNetUSA.net.
And of course, Corey Neyland, you brought up something that you said you wanted us to talk about. Of course, your Southern California most valuable player was?
Somebody.
3, because she gave up a total of 5 earned runs. Actually make it 6.
No balls, 2 strikes to the left-hand hitting Flores. Singled in game 1. Score is 6-4 in the top of the 6th inning. And she just lifts one into center field, and a diving catch made by Angel Urbina. As it looked like Flores jumped up to hit it and looked like she had a single and possibly a double. But Urbina says, you can't have none. As that's the second out.
So she saw one of us at that buffet that you were talking about earlier, Mark or Corey.
Player of the Year in the South Coast North with Pasadena. I had Monet Manning as winning the Player of the Year. This one's lifted foul and out of play. I didn't really see anyone else as a player. Manning, 10 home runs, 39 RBIs. She batted .517 in 37 games. And the pitcher of the year was Wheeler from Mount Sac from their conference. And Sipe skies it into center field. Urbina under it for the 3rd out. So 3 up, 3 down. Score remains 6-4 in favor of the Hawks as we move to the bottom of the 6th inning. 2 more at-bats for the Lancers to cut into this 2-run lead.
Of course, you had the Bakersfield pitcher and her place being pitcher of the year.
Oh yeah, Bakersfield in the Western State Conference North, Kylie Fahey, 1.25 earned run average. 28-6 was her record. 268 strikeouts, 50 walks. And believe it or not, in the South Coast Conference, the South Division, I have Clarissa Chiquetti, or Chiquet. How do you say her name, Ryan? 15-3, 2.5 earned run average.
As far as I knew, it was Chiquet.
Chiquet, okay. So you don't have to be on one of the top 10s in our polls. I'll listen to yours later or next week. But you don't have to be on the top team to win Player of the Year and Pitcher of the Year. So Hernandez, top of the order. Lopez and Velasquez trying to get 2 runs and then some if you're the Lancers. And we didn't even talk Northern, where Emily Mitchell, I know you guys thought it was a controversial pick because she had 101 walks on the season. I still think she was the best pitcher up north. Stallings, outside, ball 1.
We'll get ready because you know next week Ed Ford will have some headsets on, so I'm sure he'll tell us about Northern California.
I got that here too. And there is one hit at the waist and turned into a diving catch by Amber Elliott. Mark, Ryan, that was one of the more interesting at-bats that I've ever seen. It looked like it jammed Hernandez on the inside, and she swung from her waist and still had enough power to hit it to straightaway center field. Amber Elliott catches it while she's falling down. And this one's popped up to right field. Taylor Whitney is under it for out number 2. And speaking of falling down, remind me I got to get Gabriella Neyland right after this game.
Well, I like the fact that she's kicked off her shoes.
No, the feet swelled so much it was like the Hulk. They just busted open.
Oh, okay. That should have been yesterday. The fourth toe be with you.
Oh, may the fourth be with you, as Velasquez used a force in the 3rd inning and singled and scored a run and had an RBI sac fly in the 4th, and she takes that one high, 1-1. Yeah, Allie Steins won the Player of the Year in the Northern California region. I had Lauren Kirk, her teammate out of San Mateo, strike, swinging, 1-2. And you looked at Emily Mitchell out of Feather River, 245 strikeouts, 101 walks, 1.7 earned run average, 29-5 record. Grounded right up the middle for a base hit. Velasquez gets on for the 2nd time in this game. Excuse me, make it the 3rd time this game because she walked.
Yep. Double walk and a single. And so Pasadena's in double digits on base hits. You throw in a few miscues by the Hawks. And if you're sitting over there in Pasadena right now, you're just sort of wondering.
And this one is a bloop single in the left field. How do you cue shot if you're a right-handed batter and you cue it into left field just past the 3rd base grass area? Look like a pinball. And Ryan, I know you can appreciate that when the ball comes off and it hits the top and then hits the end of the trigger and then goes in for a base hit.
Yeah, it's one of those double hits, and it's so hard to play as a hot corner person when you're at 3rd base and you can't tell where that spin is going.
So with 2 outs, trying to rally, Kaylee Madrano up to bat. Hit by pitch and scored a run. Fielder's choice and flew out to center field. 11 hits for the Lancers, only 5 for Santiago Canyon. And that's really what got Santiago Canyon in trouble all season long. Yeah, they can score 10 runs one game, but the next game they'll get 3 hits and only score 1. Danielle Stallings in the circle, really needs to buckle down, 3-0, needs to pitch this one out. And here's where you're thinking, guys, you're down by 2 runs. There's 2 outs. I've got a hot hitter up. If she comes down the middle of the plate, I'm swinging away, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to let her turn on it, and if she can pull it, you're guaranteed 1 run, maybe 2.
And she walks on the inside part of the plate. So now the bases are loaded. Angel Urbina up to the bat. And there's a timeout called. Pitching coach wants a meeting. Now Urbina, where do you play? You know she's not overpowering. You see Elliott shaded to the left center field on the left side of second base.
On the left side of second base.
Facing us.
Okay. So you're gonna play her as a punch hitter, go in the opposite direction.
Pretty much. You're gonna try to play her as a rover.
But see, I'm with Ryan too. Now, if you're over at 3rd base, Ryan, what do you do if you're the 3rd base person? Do you come in those 8 steps, or do you play just even with the bag at 3rd base right about now?
I think you come in actually 2 steps, so it's almost halfway in between both sides of thinking. You come in 2 steps, but you know that if there's a ball in front of you, you have to attack it. You can't let that one eat you up like we saw in the 2nd inning. If it's in front of you, you have to attack it. And then if you see that ball going to someone else, make sure you're in range to get back to the bag.
Good pitch by Stallings. Outside corner on the knees. Dropped at the end, 0-1. 2 outs. Bottom of the 6th inning. As you know, 7 innings here in softball. 6-4 is your score. This one's popped up to left field. No one has a play on it. No balls and 2 strikes. And here's the most dangerous hitter, I'm going to say, in softball. No balls, 2 strikes. You got to keep the ball in play. You don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to take a combination of Ryan and a combination of Mark. Put the ball in play. Outside, ball 1.
And if you're in the circle and you're Stallings, you don't give in to the hitter.
No, you can't give in to the hitter because you know the runners will be running on each pitch. And this is bounced to short. Rinky up with it over to first in time, and they get out of the inning. So no runs on 2 hits, no errors. 3 left on base. And at the end of 6, it is 6-4 Hawks on sportsnetusa.net. And guys, everybody that was a Hawk fan was holding their breath because you know those ground balls have been interesting to say the least in this 2 games that we've seen today.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, if I was holding my breath, I'd be holding my breath in my Toyota, but what I'd do is I'd go to Miller Toyota of Anaheim and I'd get myself a new Toyota and breathe in that new car smell. Oh yeah, there's nothing better than new car smell, especially when it's your car, not somebody else's car, and you just say, I just got myself a new Toyota at Miller Toyota of Anaheim. That's right. All you have to do is go on down there. They've got all sorts of deals going on all the time. Maybe you can't afford that new Toyota. Well, check out the wide variety of used cars they have at Miller Toyota of Anaheim. That's right. You can find anything you want at a reasonable cost at Miller Toyota of Anaheim. So next time you're out just sort of checking around, hey, Mother's Day is right around the corner. Nothing better than get mom but a brand new car. That's what you ought to convince the family of. Head on down to Miller Toyota of Anaheim. That's right, located at Euclid in the 91. Miller Toyota of Anaheim is a proud sponsor of community college sports, high school sports, but most of all, education. That's Miller Toyota of Anaheim.
I just like going down there because it's cool.
Corey just sits down in the says, I'm waiting for somebody.
Yes, I am.
Is that water free?
Name is Jack Frost.
Well, not to mention that Miller Toyota of Anaheim waiting room isn't too bad. I mean, if you ever get your car serviced there, of course they're open 7 days a week, but if you ever get your car serviced there, it's one of the better waiting rooms in all of Orange County.
And there's one slapped in the left field. Under it is Hernandez for the stop, so you know they got donuts there.
Not to mention soup as well.
I know where to find you two for lunch.
It's the buffet we were at. Amber Elliott, another sophomore out there, Mark, who's really had a good 2 games and an excellent season. She drives one into center field, but there is Urbina. And now we've got Didion. Allie Didion, a major in communications. Mike's going to music festivals. Best of the West MVP when she was in high school. You know what, Mark, this at bat, I want her to just stay back and swing. Just come off one. Just come out the shoes and socks and stirrups.
And have Ryan Osborn catching on the sidewalk?
Pretty much.
Okay. Get ready, Ryan.
See, even the fans say it kind of late.
I already found my over-the-line partner, so. You.
And I'm sorry, that's such an old reference. I don't think young kids get that reference anymore. And there's strike three swinging. 3 up, 3 down. Final 3 coming up for the Lancers.
Ron Osborn, did you ever play over the line when you were a kid?
I did, but I was not very good.
At least he knows what it was.
What's over the line, Ryan?
Over the line, the version that we played is just, it was a game of marbles.
What?
Yeah. So I don't know if we're referencing the same game, but over the line for my neighborhood was a game of marbles.
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you?
Yeah, you did. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Wow. Well, you know what because it's Ryan. It didn't involve any running. That's why he played over the line with marbles.
Wow.
I mean, it's not wrong, Mark.
Ryan, over the line used to be
Actually,
that.
yes, it is.
Yeah,
'Cause
it
you know what you call playing marbles? You know what you call that game?
Playing marbles?
No, yeah, it's marbles. That's how you say it, not over the line.
Over the line was our short number of people baseball game was over the line.
You had an infielder, sometimes a midfielder, and a deep guy.
Ball went down, bounced twice. That was a double. Got by the outfielder on a rolling ground. That was a triple. Fly anybody's head, deepest person's head. That was a home run.
Oh, so essentially short man ball.
What was that?
What my little league called it was short man ball, where you would just play only 2 infielders, maybe 1 outfielder, or actually 3 infielders, maybe 1 outfielder.
No.
And then pretty much the same rules.
No, because you didn't use the whole field.
Yeah, we only played left field when we did over the line. Maybe center if we had an extra outfielder.
Nope.
You never played center?
No.
Huh?
We made it tough, difficult. There's a bunt laid down by Howard beautifully. Stallings up with it quickly to DeYoung and gets him out at first base. Good play all around by Howard with the bunt, Stallings with the pickup, DeYoung with the grab. That's the first out. Bottom 7, 6-4 Hawks lead, trying to preserve this and move on to the Super Regionals.
So that's why you played over the line, Ryan, because if you did something like that, you just stood there. You didn't have to run.
And there's one hit. Rinky under it. That's out number 2.
So you say they play El Camino if they win?
So as we look at it here, if they stay the same as what the record or the brackets look like, strike 1 on the outside corner, the winner of this game will face El Camino.
That'll be an interesting series.
Yeah,
that really will be.
In the top half of the bracket, another team similar to each other. This one's bounced, Ranky up with it. That's the third out, and they're on to the Super Regionals. Santiago Canyon with a 6-4 win over Pasadena City College. Ryan is gone. Mark,
I tell you what, Corey, a little surprised because I thought when I watched that first game today and I saw Pasadena get their lead, I really did, knowing these two teams and their backgrounds, I was ready to concede the first game to Pasadena. Corey's shaking his head on me, guys, here on there. Corey wasn't ready, and I believe that when Corey said he wasn't ready to concede it, because you've seen this team come back more than once. But I was really surprised. I thought Pasadena, when they had that lead, was going to pull it off.
Yeah, when they couldn't get more runs and when they couldn't get those outplays that they needed, just something that they couldn't keep that confidence that they built up with the 3-run lead. And when Riley Sipe hit that home run, you just saw click change. It's like, okay, guys, we're back into this. Let's tie it up, and we'll take it in the next game.
And then when you looked at this game, Pasadena just needed somebody like a Riley Sipe that you didn't see.
Yeah.
You didn't see that heroic home run. And when it didn't happen, you knew Pasadena probably wouldn't come back against this Santiago Canyon team. Well, next weekend we got more softball here on SportsNetUSA.net. Make sure you check the homepage to find out who will be calling on Friday and Saturday. For today, Santiago moves on and continues their very successful season here on SportsNetUSA.net. For Ed Ford, Ryan Osborn, Gabby Neyland, Corey Neyland, I'm Mark Pavlovich. You've watched Santiago Canyon move to the Super Regionals here on SportsNetUSA.net.